Moscow and the surrounding region were attacked by drones last night. At least 10 explosions were heard there. The mayor of the Russian capital claimed that air defense allegedly shot down up to 9 drones over the city. The airspace over Moscow was closed and all airports, Sheremetyevo, Vnukovo, Domodedovo and Zhukovsky, suspended operations under the carpet plan. The attack lasted for more than 3 hours. Explosions were heard both in Moscow itself and in the Moscow region, including in Nakabaino and Zelenograd. It was loud on the southern coast of Crimea as well. The Foros sanatorium near Sevastopol, a place known as the FSB's dacha, came under drone attack. The Russian dictator Putin used to vacation there. And according to sources, high-ranking collaborators may have been present during the attack. Sofia Zelinska will tell us about the consequences of the shelling and what else the main intelligence directorate struck in Crimea.
The strike on the Foros sanatorium happened in the evening of September 21st. This facility is associated with the Federal Security Service of the occupying country. Also, between Foros and Yalta, there are at least 4 state dachas where high-ranking officials from Moscow vacation. According to media reports, 2 of them are personally reserved for Putin. The complex is located in the historic Foros Park, which was established in the 19th century by General Raevsky. During Soviet times, a sanatorium appeared here, and in 1988, a 14-story building was constructed. At the time of the shelling, the restaurant of the complex was closed, and Russian media emphasized collaborator Volodymyr Saldo was staying at the hotel.
Dear guests, on September 21st, the Foros Hall restaurant is closed for special service.
And this is just one of a series of successful attacks by the General Staff and the main intelligence directorate over the past week. Ukrainian special forces from the primary unit for the first time in history destroyed 2 B-12 Chaika amphibious aircraft. During the same operation, a Mi-8 helicopter was also hit. In total, Russian media report that supposedly 114 UAVs were shot down over Crimea overnight.
There you go. 100 helicopters. This is the first ever strike on a B-12. The B-12 Chaika amphibious aircraft are equipped with expensive equipment for detecting and combating submarines.
It was loud on Russian territory itself as well. Drones struck the Kanevskaya traction substation in Krasnodar Krai. As a result of the attack, at least 5 hits on energy infrastructure facilities were recorded. This substation plays a key role in operating the contact network for electric locomotives and can also supply power to industrial facilities and residential consumers in the region. Earlier, the defense forces of Ukraine struck energy infrastructure deep within enemy territory. On the night of September 20th, drones attacked the Saratov and Novokuybishevsk oil refineries, as well as an oil blending station in Samara. These enterprises process millions of tons annually and are involved in the formation of the Urals export grade. According to the General Staff, all these facilities directly support the Russian war machine. The Foros sanatorium, amphibious aircraft, helicopters, boats, and critical infrastructure facilities. Such attacks demonstrate that, in reality, there is no safe rear in Russia. Sofia Zelinska, Podrobnosti, Intermarathon TV channel, United News.
The primary special unit of the main intelligence directorate has, for the first time in history, struck Russian amphibious aircraft. According to the main intelligence directorate, on September 21st, 2 enemy B-12 Chaika anti-submarine amphibious aircraft were burned on the territory of temporarily occupied Crimea. These aircraft are equipped with the latest equipment for detecting and combating submarines. During the same operation, special forces of the main intelligence directorate also struck a Russian Mi-8 multi-purpose helicopter. The intelligence officers are also achieving successes at the front. For example, in the Donetsk direction, fighters of the Russian Volunteer Corps, part of the Timur special unit of the main intelligence directorate, captured 16 Russians. I'll ask the commander of the RVC about this in more detail, who is joining us live in the studio. Denis, with the call sign Vitrex. Mr. Denis, welcome. Glory to Ukraine.
Glory to the heroes. Good morning, friends.
Before we start our conversation, I want to draw our viewers' attention to the QR code that has appeared on your screens. This means that a fundraiser is underway for our defenders. Please join in. Mr. Denis, tell us what exactly you are raising funds for.
Well, the war is ongoing. The war constantly requires expenses. Vehicles are one of the main problems. Vehicles have long ceased to be just a means of transportation and have become a basic consumable. That's why their repair and the purchase of new ones is one of the main expense items for all fighting units.
So, dear viewers, you heard from Mr. Dennis that the fundraising continues for vehicles and for car repairs. Please join this fundraising effort. The QR code is on your screens, and just below it is the card number in case you can't scan the QR code. Vehicles are essential equipment on the battlefield, both for delivery, for logistics, for transporting ammunition, and basically for moving troops. So please, let's not be indifferent and help our defenders with this fundraiser so they can collect the necessary amount and purchase vehicles or repair the ones they already have. Join in. Every donation matters. There is no such thing as a small donation. Remember this, dear viewers. Mr. Dennis, as I already mentioned not so long ago, the RDK fighters, together with other Ukrainian soldiers, stopped an attempted breakthrough in the Donetsk region and captured 16 Russian soldiers. So to start, tell us more about this operation and how you managed to capture the Russians.
Well, one interesting detail is that for the Russian Volunteer Corps, this was, in a way, coming full circle. Yes, because we began our combat journey in the summer of 2022 precisely in this area. These are settlements such as the urban-type village of Velikomikhaylivka and Pokrovske. And it turns out that 3 years later, we are returning to these very same places, but now in a completely different way. Yes, if we started out with just a small group of 10 to 15 people, now the Russian Volunteer Corps has returned to this area as a completely different unit. Larger, stronger, an experienced division with its own artillery and its own assault groups. So for us, this was also a kind of test, a way to sum things up. Yes, 3 years have passed, we are returning to these same places, and now we represent something completely different, a serious military organization. This was also very symbolic for us, as if the circle had closed. Exactly 3 years have passed, and here we are again back in these places. It's clear that from our side, the mission was quite successful. 16 Russian army servicemen will now have already joined the exchange pool. That's very good. They themselves weren't anything special, just regular, ordinary contract soldiers. Interestingly, it is worth noting that they ultimately ended up at the very front of the conflict at the conclusion of July, but they had officially signed their formal contracts with the Russian Ministry of Defense at the very beginning of June, which is a significant detail. So they only managed to spend a month at the front. Yes, in our conversations with them during questioning, it turned out that not all of them even managed to receive their first payment, which they are supposed to get upon signing the contract.
And what did they say about their motives? Why did they actually go to war?
For more than a year now, the motive has been absolutely the same for everyone. It is poverty alone that drives the servicemen. They all openly admit that they went to fight solely for the money. Well, that's easy to understand. Yes, most of these men were from the Far East. I specifically started asking them about the wages in their region. And basically, if you don't work in an artel, as they call it, if you're not involved in shift work mining gold or other minerals, then the salaries are tiny. Literally, they mentioned no more than 20,000 rubles. And so when they're promised a salary of 200,000 rubles, 10 times more than what they earn, of course, for them this is interesting. They simply can't earn the kind of money that the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation is offering, especially living in the Far East. Well, of course, yes, they're promised that they'll be in the attacking forces of the Russian, advancing forward. The Ukrainian army, they say, throws down its weapons and retreats from its positions without a fight. And of course, it's easy to fall for such sweet talk, and they simply move forward, hoping that, for the most part, they'll be advancing behind the attacking army. When they end up in captivity, yes, when they find themselves on the front lines, they say that they went 4 days without food, without water, at their positions. Obviously, by then, none of it is worth any money. But unfortunately, at that moment, it's too late to realize that you were wrong.
That's true. I want to address our viewers once again. The QR code is on your screens. This means that the fundraising for our defenders is ongoing. The RDK is currently raising funds for vehicles and their repairs. Please join this fundraiser. Remember, there is no such thing as a small donation. Literally every hryvnia you give matters, whether it's 10, 5, 20, or 50 hryvnias. But it's these small donations that help raise a large sum for the needs of our defenders. So please, dear viewers, join this fundraiser. The QR code is on your screens, and just below it is the card number as well. Thank you all in advance. Mr. Dennis, thank you. Unfortunately, our time is up. Thank you and your comrades, first and foremost, for your service, for defending our Ukraine, and for finding the opportunity to join our broadcast. Let me remind you that joining us live was the commander of the Russian Volunteer Corps, Denis, with the call sign White Rex. Thank you.